Oh, maybe not.
What is going on, YouTube world? Steve, Dave, Insert Revolution podcast, episode number Bobby Abreu. Talking about tonight, kids in the hobby. We're going to be doing that for, I think, a good chunk of us because my viewpoint, I believe Steve's viewpoint on this is somewhat similar to mine. Right now, it's good. Obviously, they are good, bad, and different. They are new life, new blood into the hobby, generating interest and I don't know, content wise, there's a lot that are out there, but and when I say kids, I'm getting the curmudgeon-y. We're past that curmudgeon era, so it's not like we're 25 and talking about 15-year-olds. Kids to me are anywhere from whatever that 10ish age when you can really start to make a decision, or the guys you want to go after. What's up, Mike? The better half. Howdy. To about like that 22, 24-year-old range. If you're in college, somewhere in there, leaving college because you still, for me, haven't experienced real life. You're still sort of in whatever way protected bubble, and then you got people like Bobby who can attest to the times of the Civil War and from his era. But that's where. So I want to get the correct listing of what we're sort of looking at, or what I personally am looking at for this topic per se. What's going on, Yannick? I saw our sponsor. No mountains, but it is. We get some of that water over here. We need water. Any way, shape, or form, we need water. Post haste.
Yeah, so Yingling officially hit the store shelves and the bars and the restaurants here in Texas yesterday. I haven't gone on a mission just yet. I'm going to kind of let it settle just a little bit because I would hate to go to a multitude of places and find out that they're already sold out. So I'm sure at some point we will have a different sponsor at some point. So I'm actually looking forward to giving it a try. No, not of the Hershey persuasion. Sorry. Holy crap! Ed's actually here early.
What's going on, LA Pat? What's going on, Edward?
No, that was like a special thing that they did in the area out there where Ed lives, Bobby. So it's going to be, I think they have 5 or 6 different quote unquote variations coming. So it's like your standard lager, and then they've got like one of their lights, their light beers, and I think it's 5 that they're bringing this way. But I haven't seen any yet. I just know it's here. It's officially here, and looking forward to at some point giving it a try. So Ed may be getting a few text messages here in the near future of, which one I should try first type situation. Leverage his knowledge of Yingling as a basis just to see. I want to try them all just to see because, it's one of those, if I can have something different from time to time outside of what I normally drink, I think it's a win.
So I seem to forget this most shows now, but pick up anything of use, anything on the radar?
Nope. it's I'll call it one of those hobby ruts again. I still do my searches. I still have stuff on the watch list. It's just nothing right now is really good to know, Ed. Thank you. Uh, Nothing's piquing my interest really. I'm more window shopping more than I am, or what I have been.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just in that kind of rut right now of where there's no interest, and I know that's unusual as a collector, but I go through these phases, and I've always gone through these phases.
Mm.
I'll watch, I'll kind of pay attention to stuff, and it's got to be something that almost kind of blows my socks off, or something in which it's like, man, I hadn't seen that in a long time type situation, and I'm just not seeing that right now. So the nice thing about it is, to a degree, I guess, the budget kind of expands over time. Uh, so there is a benefit in the event that something bigger comes up, but it's I do have one thing that I'm keeping a close eye on. We'll see uh, if any pops on. He'll know what I'm talking about because he actually messaged me the other day and he's like, "Isn't this the one that you've talked about before?" I was like, "Yeah, it is. It's on the watch list. I am going to be watching it." Uh, so, like I said, we'll see. If it stays within the normal realm of what I've seen him in the past, then I may make a run for it. But that is if I remember. That's been the other thing as of late. I've been forgetting a lot of things and ignoring my notifications.
Unlike me, who is constantly blasting the chat with like updates of stuff like every 20 minutes, it seems, on certain cards.
So I have to ask, how did that go? At least the big one. Did you make a okay? Good deal.
And it
Those
was,
who were in the chat know what we're talking about. I'm sure it was more than what you expected because of some interesting bidding behavior. We'll leave it at that. And no, it was not a PWCC auction, folks. It wasn't them, but it was interesting to say the least.
it only went for whatever the last update I had. I think it was only about $10 more. And
Well,
that's what I'm
then
trying to remember if it was where it went the last time, because again, I thought it was like that 327, but it could have been around that 360, 370 mark too. I don't remember. I just remember being shocked when I put my bid in and I got bumped by two guys. So I'm like, okay, that's sort of whenever this pops again, I've been beaten, and I've been beaten by two people, so I know at least one other guy is going to go after it. So to see those two go back and forth, and I get it with some stuff, like if it's a $20-$30 card, you might want to just put in your whatever your bid is. I can't. That'll never be something I do. I'm gonna sit there. I'll put in my whatever $1, $5, whatever the starting bid is. To if I have to kill a bin or a best offer option, I'll do that. But to just jump, man, that thing jumps so quick out of the gate. That was the thing that I just didn't understand that. There you are.
interesting to say the least. Yes. So
What's up, Eric?
the quote unquote at least early logo is now part of the podcast. I got Haley, and his daughter, to send that over to him because I wanted to get it included now that we have the basic subscription, which will give us the opportunity to do some things that we wanted to do with the channel as soon as Dave and I can find some time to sync up and openly discuss it and get our ducks in a row. We've been trying to work around vacations and just timing and things along those lines. As we all know, life gets in the way. It sucks adulting, but such is life, I guess they say. But things will be coming. Just bear with us, folks. We've talked about it before. We haven't gone into detail. There's a few individuals that know specifically what we've been alluding to and what we're hoping to do in the near future. But we don't want to give any additional details to spoil it, because it's one of those in which we're just going to let it happen and see if anybody notices. And it's not going to be a live broadcast either. It's going to be their own standalone videos. So you'll at least be able to get some additional content on this channel outside of just the podcast itself.
Which I think that'll help.
Agreed. Absolutely. And now we're filthy animals, so I can add another nickname to the list. Dave, you now can add an additional one too, I guess. Foul mouth, dirty animal.
Foul mouth, filthy animal, hockey and tennis oracle.
Yep. My, how it continues to grow these days.
Was that the one that 25, Mike? I know I saw you post one recently, a couple of them. Those I thought were the first ones I had seen for Jameer in quite some time. Because usually I'll see those and I'm like, okay, good, that's another one off the list. And
so Sanderson's giddy with anticipation. We'll see. We'll put you to the test once that actually happens. We'll expect a comment and critique from you, Sanderson. So no pressure. No pressure.
None.
Not at all.
Hopefully
we don't do that.
You said it before. We're not going to promote the shit out of this on separate Instagram pages, separate Facebook pages. Start going live 6 times a day, and we want the bump, obviously, for people, but we want the bump in people that are along the same thought process of us. Now, again, there can be some variance and whatnot. You don't have to think exactly like us. We don't want that. Nor does probably your family, significant others, friends, work people, co-workers, whatever. They don't want that either. But we don't want glad-handed, ass-kissing douchebags to fall in like ducks in a row. We don't, because that's not who we are. We'll give you our opinion, as we've said. Take it or leave it, like it or love it. It doesn't matter. As long as at the end of the day we say, hey, I see it from your point of view, you see it from mine, that's where we're going to stand, instead of just falling in line like others.
Well, we lost one. Sanderson's like, nah, I'm done. I'm out. And by the way, that's my outro. So please submit payment of 1 Dogecoin to my email address for payment for
40 cents.
Yep. For copyright infringement for my outro. Shit up. Yep, there you go. Better half. Oh, this is going to be an interesting night. Everybody's got some quips going.
But that's what we're hoping for. That just get some more eyes on the channel. If people like it, they like it. If they don't, that's fine. So again,
let me see the head.
Not the end of the world.
So better half, since we were talking about it the other night. Nightmare Before Christmas onesie. Sorry, kiddo. I just kind of bumped you in the head. We were talking about that the other night, so they had to go put it on real quick and make sure that better half and or Vinny saw it. Yeah, let me know when C's around. I'll call him back in here. Okay, hold on. Hey, kiddo. Hold on, guys. Dave, talk for a minute.
So, like I said, Stephen alluded to the standalone show. Uh, we've got the one. We want to get 2, 3 more lined up. So,
So there you go. See, that's what your mom and dad and I were talking about last night. That's another onesie, but that's from Nightmare Before Christmas.
You struggled there.
Yeah, I almost called it the wrong thing. we've already sparked the oh geez. What's the Pokemon? I've now lost the damn name of the Pokemon.
Pikachu.
Thank you. Jeez. I am struggling today, as you can very well tell. We sparked the Pikachu interest, so C now has the Pikachu. Vinny and the better half saw the Stitch when we talked over the weekend. And then we were talking about the Nightmare Before Christmas one. So anything we can do to help Vinny and the better half make the kiddo happy, I guess that's our contribution. So speaking of kids.
And yes, Mike, I did my silos. That it's. I don't even know what number those would be. That's how bad of a like their release tomorrow. I know I've got a lot, but then that time frame, that 2014, I don't know, Finest would have 3 or 4 tops platinum. I think had several. Tops Chrome had a ton. Bowman Sterling, I think, had some. They're all over, and I've got a lot. I don't know. Those are obviously 2 I don't. I'm hoping to get them, and I'm hoping not to pay $1 million for them. But knowing my luck,
You can afford it, Dave. You can afford it. Just liquidate some more cards.
That's what I should do.
You know, your 99 warehouses, I know you're getting close to opening the 100th, so it's one of those in which, I mean, you have opportunities to liquidate. Everything is fluid, man. Come on. Good deals only.
I'll have to.
No, LA Pats. Sorry, David, I didn't mean to cut you off. No, it's one of those in which I saw your post, and I don't remember when it was specifically.
This is true.
Going to Burbank and going and not being able to leave with something. So, and I don't remember specifically what you picked up. I know I like the post, but my memory is fading as I get older. And so I do. Maybe you can answer this or not. Do they still have both locations, or did they move just into the one? Just curious, because I know they opened the new location and everything else along those lines, and they were, bumping that up in their Instagram feed and all that other kind of fun stuff. But I was curious to know if they actually kept the other location for, whatever reason. What's going on, Foxy? No, see, Dave is going for the Yager before he shaves it again.
Yeah, I've got to try to. I don't know if I can get the perm on top like Yarmir had, but if I can get somewhat similar to the flow and back, it depends. It depends on how much longer I can tolerate it. That's the thing. I'm not used to hair, and it's summertime, so
Yeah, we've all kind of been giving Dave crap about the hair and asking, what the plan is, and he decided to drop it on us that he's going to try and go with the Yager. We'll see how much longer he goes.
yeah. I will not make any guarantees on that actually happening, because it's just, I don't know. maybe till it'll depend. I don't know. I'm just looking right now.
Sorry, I was typing Dave. That's why it kind of went dormant there for a second.
No, Trista just sent a message about fire north of Two Harbors, and I don't know if that's going to be the same one or not. Then,
Do you want my office chair?
Then that may, I don't know if it'll change plans, but Two Harbors is right along Highway 61 up to where we camp. So
yeah, for those who were curious, Dave's going on a little mini vacation starting tomorrow, and they've had major fires up that way. Major fires up that way. And every time we turn around, Dave sends us an update, but it just continues to grow and grow and grow, and it's getting pretty scary, man. So keep Dave in the back of your mind, not just from a camping trip perspective, but just in general, because they're struggling. No rain, high winds, extreme dry conditions. It's ravaging. It's now what'd you say? It's over 20,000 acres now.
I'm guessing after today, yeah, that we were supposed to. If anybody can go back to a 12 or 14-hour loop for radar, and you go to Minnesota. I'm in the little Arrowhead area. You look up Ely, ELY, and you'll see this huge mass of storms, like pretty much the whole state. It's going up, it starts dying by Virginia, and it just slices off. We got nothing. We're supposed to get it then. We're supposed to get it, I think, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock this afternoon. Not even a drop on the radar. This has been, it's not even within, this would be like picking up anyone's PC, like 20 one-on-ones in 1 week for the worst, opposite for you the best summer weather ever. This has been the worst, where we have had the one video on my channel, or a couple of them, of that storm that came through when we had our craft festival in the park. That was basically a rain. We've had a couple other short little spurts, and then on 4th of July, right before fireworks up here, there was a huge storm, because they're shooting off fireworks and you can see lightning in the background, and the lightning cloud to ground that started fires then. So every time we've got any rain, it's been just wicked. It's not been like, oh man, our usual June is probably half of like what everybody else would have in like late September, October. You have that gentle rain for 2-3 days. Ground's moist. Yeah, you step on it, it's a little squishy. Everything is crisp. The leaves on trees are falling off already. And this was probably like 2-3 weeks ago that was happening. That's autumn. That's fall. Not beginning of August, late July. We have, they're doing the rations of water. No watering, I know, in the southern part of the state, and I think central. And I'm looking at this stuff now.
No, you're good. This is the first year. No, I take that back. It's not the first year, but the last couple of years, they have not restricted water usage for water in your yard, because we've been fortunate enough, I guess, to where we haven't had the heat dome over Texas, to where it's consistently 100 degrees, high humidity, so really crappy air quality all that kind of fun stuff. But what's interesting is, at least for this summer, we've had it's been one of these. We'll have moments in which it's unseasonably cool, and by cool, I'm talking like 85 degrees, which for you guys that's hot up there because that's not normal. But unseasonably cool in Texas at this time, 85 degrees and rain. We've had more rain this August than I think I have ever witnessed in my life living in Texas. So it's been unusual. But now we still haven't hit the 100-degree mark in a few weeks, but we're 97, 98 with 60% humidity, so it feels like it's 108 degrees, and it's miserable from that perspective. But at the same time, living in Texas, we come to accept a lot of that. I mean, it's not unusual, but it sure is making the AC work a lot more than normal. So this is the first time. So the last 2 months, and I know we're kind of off topic, but it's one of those in which we've got fires going on, and it's all about people and thinking about people and making sure everybody's safe and stuff along those lines. So it kind of stays true to form with what we're always about. But this is the first time since we've lived here that we've had back-to-back months where our electric bill's been over $200. And I know everybody's going to be like, what? Well, newer house, it's LEED certified, it's well insulated. It's one of those. It's a great builder. So we keep the AC at 72 degrees, and it stays nice and cool inside.
Mm-hmm.
But for whatever reason, because of the excess humidity, it's making the AC unit work that much harder in the afternoon. So of course it increases your electric cost per kilowatt hour.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention, I think the electric company out here, it's a cooperative, but I think they up their rate a little bit to compensate for the interesting winter storm, to kind of offset some of their costs. So I haven't bothered to look. I haven't bothered to dig deep into it. It's still one of those in which it's not an area of concern, so to speak, when you're talking $212 or $229 for an electric bill. And in Texas, that's still freaking cheap.
What's up, Robert? But back to Mike. Yeah, we've had some droughts up here. Wildfires we've had. There was one, I think, 10 years ago about that started up from a lightning strike. And it was huge up, I think, just east of where this one was at. South or east. And this one's by Highway 2, which, again, connects... Highway 1 connects Ely all the way to the North Shore. On Highway 61, which goes up to Grand Marais, where we camp, down to Two Harbors, and then ends in Duluth. Highway 2 goes over from 1, and that brings you to like Silver Bay, and another alternate route to Two Harbors after you turn off 2. And there's a mine in Silver Bay, so that means a lot of these people, because there's a bunch of people in Ely, and a few of them in Babbitt, that work in the mine over there. So you've got a new route. And there's not like, you think of wherever, like a metropolitan area, you've got frontage roads, access roads, you can go 10 different ways. There's one road. This is literally the country bumpkin backwoods style. So, with that being said, that right where you turn from off 1 to 2, that's where the fire's sort of at in one portion of it. If it goes like another few miles north or northwest, it's going to hit houses. And it's not just like a couple. I mean, there's a lot of cabins out there too. Don't get me wrong. I think some stuff's already been torched because I the milkman is a volunteer firefighter for Cherry, which is just outside of Virginia. And he was saying over the weekend he was up there and doing this and that. And it's like we had the perimeter, and it just yesterday was a loss. Everything that we had worked for didn't matter. It just stormed right through there and tore everything apart. And it's like we did this, we did that. It didn't matter. So it's getting to the point where, and I've showed it, I know, in the group chat. If you're on, I might do something on like Instagram too, just to post that on there so the card guys can see it, what it looks like from Ely looking towards the fire. It literally looks like a volcano is erupting. The stuff you see in California with the huge plumes, that's basically, we're getting a sort of a fraction of it. We're not getting that huge 500,000 acres, because you do that up here and you'll pretty much tear out 3-4 communities. But I know the town that's 15 miles to the west of us, there's growing concern they have to evacuate at some point. And some point, especially if the winds keep up the way they've been keeps them blowing from the south, it's going to be go time for them, because it's coming, I think, right towards them. And if it blows from the southwest, that's more up towards this way. So if you hear me coughing, if you hear me hacking, that's because the smoke was so bad this morning. Everybody that you talked to that came through the store, like sore throat. And again, I know it's the worst time to have it during all this COVID garbage. Like, man, what do you got? I got sore throat and coughing. It's like now everybody's like, you're already on edge a little bit. Now you throw that in there. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. We leave tomorrow morning, and then we'll set up, and because I know some of those pictures I sent to yesterday, maybe the 3 pictures, 2 of them are from basically where we're camping. That one that had like the timestamp of like 14:20 or whatever. So that like 2:20 in the afternoon, it's literally orange dark skies from the clouds of smoke. So if nothing else, if it gets too hairy up there and we got to come back for whatever reason, Ely's endangered, come move some stuff, do whatever. And if we got time left on the vacation to go to the UP of Michigan and Ironwood, we're going to Lake Superior somewhere. I want to be by water, because you haven't seen it all summer. I want to sit in Lake Superior and drink a beer, or drink a Mike's Hard Lemonade or something, because maybe I'll take a crap in it too, because I'm just pissed off at everybody. Like,
all right, that's a little much, Dave. TMI.
not enough.
Then again, you probably wouldn't be the first one to do that either. Just throwing that out there.
No, it is surprisingly warm. It is the warmest, and I don't know if it's on record, but it's the warmest it's been in, I think, decades. It's like 66 degrees, which I know that doesn't sound like super warm water, but if you got a body of water that's as big as Lake Superior and you got it near the shore where it's 66, that's insanely warm. Because usually it's about that 50 to 55 mark, maybe topping out near 60 on like a super warm year. But it's been as have I know this better half. It's this year though. I mean, somebody had a thermometer on a bobber, or a bobber thermometer at Park Point in Duluth, and it's more beachy area there. It was 80 degrees where they were at, water temperature. And again, that could have been a couple feet in, but still, for Lake Superior to be anywhere near that, not to be all an environmentalist or whatnot, but you know things got to change because you go past that tipping point, it doesn't matter then. You've done irreversible damage, but it's the craziest summer I've experienced in my now 41 years of life, because I've never had this type of drought, this type of heat all throughout summer. When it started in May, this was like the first week of May, we hit 90. This is northeastern Minnesota. This isn't Texas. But we've talked about that. We're not used to that. It's before the fishing opener, which before we've had ice on the lakes, snow flying for fishing opener, and we hit 90, and we've hit 90 probably a good 12 to 18 times. Last week it was like a low of 72. A low. That is
welcome to Texas weather.
Absolutely impossible to sleep in when you don't have an AC.
Well, and that's the thing. It's, here we have central air and central heat, so it's one of those in which if it's cold, you turn on the heat. If it's hot, you turn on the air.
Yeah.
Not everybody has that opportunity and that ability because of where they live and seasonal temperatures and everything else. You kind of ultimately like suck it up to a degree unless you have 15 million fans in your house blowing around warm air.
Yeah.
So no, I get it. It sucks, and I know it's not just impacting you up there. I mean, I have I have two employees that live in New York, and they've had interesting weather. So, I mean, crap, we had a hurricane hit Rhode Island. I mean, it's to say it's crazy is an understatement. This has been an interesting, odd year pertaining to weather. So
it is the worst. And then if you wake up,
yeah,
the worst. If you wake up like middle of the night, it feels like you've been sitting in like a thin layer of water because and you haven't done anything. You've just been there sleeping.
Yep. There were a few times in the rental house, and if anybody watches my old videos, that's pretty much the rental house that we lived in. And the landlord never bothered to upgrade the size of the unit. Not to mention it was a 2-story house. Most 2-story houses these days have 2 units, one for the second floor, one for the first floor. Go figure. Smart, right? And there were a few times during the summer, it happened twice while we lived there. The AC went out, and this is when, we were having 102, 103 degree temperatures. And, not being able to get somebody out to fix it for a day and a half type situation. All sleeping on the bottom floor, pretty much half naked. 5 fans going, the back door open, hoping that there's a breeze type situation. Miserable. Because when when it gets that hot, usually it doesn't drop below like 80, 82 for your low. And you just hope that there's some sort of breeze in the evening to kind of help circulate the air. But happened twice, and it's the worst. It's the worst. So I can only imagine what it's like to not have central air, period, in dealing with something like that. They need to start installing central air in Michigan, just as a precaution.
I think they need to start doing it everywhere. The way things are going. I showed you on that thermometer too how downstairs it was 84. I go halfway up the stairs and it's like another wall of heat. I'm like, oh, so we're probably like 87, 88. I'm like, I wanted a sauna, I'd take a sauna. Yeah, just wild times and the best, the worst, whatever you want to say. The part of that fire, 0% contained. So it's like,
which is crazy to think because well, I guess to a certain degree, if it were partially contained, it wouldn't be expanding like it is though either, or doubling in size to the extent of what it has been. So, as better half, of course, said earlier, be safe. We all know, we all want you to be safe. We still want you to be able to somewhat enjoy yourself, but you know, be cognizant. Follow your reports and stuff that you've been doing and keeping up with stuff, and we'll all be thinking about you. So
the one time it pays to be like a weather nerd or nature type nerd is right now, because you're looking at the treetops, you're feeling where the wind's coming from, and it's just like, oh, that smoke's blowing up here. It's like, oh, that's not what we don't want it anywhere. It blows towards Ely, towards Babbitt, towards Isabella, which it's pretty much on its doorstep, I think. The tax woman from up here, uh, she's got her house with her husband and daughter out that way and son. So getting updates from them. Naomi's best friend's grandparents have their house out there. House or cabin? I think it's house. And so getting updates from the mom of Naomi's best friend. Hearing a couple other people at the store talk about what they're gonna do, because they just don't know. They don't know what's happening with their property. Sort of like everything you see for California. When there's a fire out there, you better, when they say evacuate, we're giving you about an hour. You better get your stuff. You better already have stuff like set aside in totes or whatever. Important documents, pictures, memory cards, laptops, whatever it is. So I don't know. It was 2,000 acres, what, a week and a half ago, or under a week and a half, and it's like the card market 10 times, maybe, literally to the moon, because it's creating its own lightning. That's how intense and powerful that fire is. It was whatever cumulus, and I don't know the prefix to it, what type of cumulus clouds, but it's creating its own lightning, its own hellish inferno weather system. So that stuff's, if for whatever reason that's cloud to ground, ground to cloud, it's gonna start popping up more stuff, because they were supposed to get rain this morning like we were, and they might have got a little, but I mean, not much. That fire's just cooking, so if anything got near it, it would just, it's like pouring a drop of water when you've got a scalding hot pan on the stove. It just evaporates pretty much immediately. Doesn't do anything. So yeah, that's the weather report, and that's the, it's going to be an adventure. It's the setting. I said I'm ready for it. Know how many people have said you're still going? Yeah. For the past 18 months, I've been deemed essential, but treated as an expendable worker. So in the last basically year, I think we went to Wisconsin, my mom and I, and then Tristan and I went for that camping on her birthday, and that's basically been it. I mean, here and there and out of town, but not, we've gone to games or concerts or nothing. So again, we're still not going around people because we don't like them. So the camping aspect. It's better than probably going to like a huge game and risking other things there. But yeah, it'll be fun. I will make the best of it. It just, like you said, you got to watch, keep the eye to the sky and to the where the U.S. Forest Service has been good with putting out like video updates, which is huge. I mean, I'm sharing those on Facebook and watching and seeing what's going on because, hey, it's been a bad day. Yesterday was a bad day. They could have lost firefighters because those winds just it put on a run. That fire ran, and it ran for miles. So it's speaking about running for miles.
Mm-hmm.
Or running from fires.
Well, to the two Jagoffs that just beat me out of Watkins, congratulations. If you flip them, I hope your soul rots. Hi, everybody.
We were wondering if you were going to join. You didn't respond to my text message, so I'm like, it must be one of those evenings.
Yeah, to get a couple things done, and then I said a bit on these two. I'm gonna be strong. I'm gonna nail them. It's gonna be good. Not so much. So those are two I was telling you about the other night, Dave.
What's going on, Michael? And yeah, that. It's been a struggle in some regards with the cards, but then when you have certain influencing type people that talked out of one side of their mouth about a year ago and now are praising the high heavens that inserts from the 90s are their way to go, and this card design and that card design. I wish these people would go play in traffic in the fire because they're not beneficial to anyone. Sort of like some of these kids in the hobby.
Oh, so finally we digress and actually loop back. I tried to do that earlier, but and obviously I can't spell. I'm telling you, today has been a struggle. And for those who are wondering, no, it has nothing to do with the amount of beer I've been drinking. I'm on beer number 2. So, and the only reason why I'm already on beer number 2 was the first one wasn't cold enough, so I drank it fairly fast. But anyways, so topic at hand. So reiterating what you alluded to earlier, Dave, just to kind of circle back for those who may be joining later and not be around when we first started. You're associating the kids time frame from like 10 to early 20s, yes?
Yes.
I'll agree and I'll disagree only because I'll take it back even to 8 years old, give or take.
Yeah.
So it kind of expands the range, but at the same time, I don't disagree of looking at those in their early 20s. I hate to use the term kids, but depending on their life experiences and everything else, not to mention technically at 22, I could still be their father, so I guess I could still call them kids from that perspective. I'd have been 20 years old, but let's be real, it's still possible. I know Vinny could attest to that. So somebody who's, in their early 20s could fall into that category because, I would think that there's even an increase in that age range though, too. So, I mean, depending on how you want to break up the age range, 8 to 15, 16, and 16 to 22, I would venture to say there's probably been a substantial uptick in the amount of those in the space, so to speak. But as I always say, I'll put you on the spot, Dave, only for the simple fact that, since you're always the mastermind behind the topics, and you and I kind of touched on this a little bit in a side conversation, that the subject was kind of touched on briefly.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it was one of those in which I was trying to figure out what topic you were referring to because I went and watched it, and it was crap. What's his name?
Andy.
Thank you. And I went and watched it, and it was one of those they touched on it briefly as it pertains to kids in the hobby, and you know, Ed and being on the show. As it pertained to the national, and I think even Brad alluded to it on past episodes, seeing an increase in the number of kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is it a positive thing? Is it a negative thing? Well, you know, I can be negative Nancy all day long. I can argue both sides of the spectrum on this one quite easy, as Dave, I'm sure you could, and even Vinny for that perspective. But with that in mind, which way are we going to take this? So I'll kind of throw it on you to sit there and kind of dictate how we approach this, and we'll chime in as we always do.
I would say the way I look at it, because I've heard, and I'll take the negative route, in the sense that all I've heard, and I'm not shy in the group chat, on here, anywhere. I unfortunately watch a lot of, and Vinny knows this all too well because we usually go back and forth. The lower, even lower than the lowest rung for content. Just because if there's a card show vlog, I'm starting to find that really addictive. Even with these stupid people, because I want to see what cards are there. I want to see what kind of negotiating ploys, if anything changes. Because there's a lot of people that are dicks. And their kids, or their hobby kids, even though we can use that nomenclature. They're hobby kids because they haven't been around for a year or two. Or but a year or two. So the way you and I would deal with something if we were making a deal, Vinny and I, Michael and I, Yannick, Bobby, Carlos, any of us working together, we're going to have a different set of negotiating tactics and or the way we do things, because that's the way we've known for how many years. We're not going to keep showing you a card, saying a price, and being just a desperate person. Or we're not going to ask you, hey, Steve, how much you got into that? No, that's a big fuck you. You don't need to know. You don't need to see into my wallet. You don't need to see my bills, my bank statements. Fuck you. There's a price on there for a reason. That's where we're going from. That's what you should be worried about. But always hearing that, what do you got into it? No. Don't worry about that. This isn't the flipping game. I'm not playing that. You are. You play the game. I won't. You be Triple H. I'm not. When the younger guys see that, the younger kids see these early to mid 20-year-old clowns doing this all the time, they're going to think that's second nature. They're going to think anywhere they go, that's going to be the norm. That should be the accepted way of making a deal. The negotiating tactics are going to be this tomfoolery, clown shoe nonsense that it shouldn't be, because that's not how you do a deal. At some point, you'd hope that parents are like, you know what? Well, let me sit down with me. Let's watch some of these superstars of the future. Let's see what they're doing. I'm in the same boat, Eric. I never care about what they've got into it, because that doesn't matter to me either. Sometimes you have to take a loss if you want to move a card. Sometimes you get another bump, or a nice bump, because you invested lower, as it were. that's sort of where we'll go to, because when we collected as kids, we bought packs. We were able to buy packs. We were able to, maybe if we got a birthday, we got a box. Christmas, we got a box. We were able to trade with friends constantly. My big thing with all this, with everybody still saying, because I've heard it from multiple people, I'll name it, with Andy and Michael, that's double X the Beast, I think is his. He's was it Nomar and Roland, and then he used to be a Grant Hill guy. I think he still got some stuff, but She Blinded Me with Refractors, they were on the other night, sort of opened with this, and I'm like, oof, oof, oof. Don't touch on what I want to touch on, which it didn't matter. I know you had mentioned that. But at the same time, I was like, please don't steal our thunder. I've heard Baseball Collector, those back pages, Brad, Ed, Mike O, Ty, any of these guys that have been to show, Scott, Scotty Tradition, JT. I was hoping to get JT on tonight. And
Benny's been to shows. He can attest to it.
He's seen it as well. You see all the kids. You see them. That's fine. But when we planted the seeds, that's sort of the point.
Sorry, I had to interrupt that. I couldn't help myself. That was great. that was great. You're no longer the star of the show, Vinny. Get used to it.
Never was.
Nor did you ever claim to be. So that's okay. Sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
I know it's completely different. That's probably where I'm not seeing it the way I should. But when you know something as one thing and it's changed over to the other thing, you're not even where we sowed our seeds in the ground, planted them, packs, trading, Beckett's, sports card magazine, sports card trader, tough stuff, shows, going anywhere to buy packs, you could get them. Where now are these kids? Because eventually, where it's going to go. It's not like with us, okay, our main distractor, yes, we had girls, we had sports, we had that stuff. Video games was probably the biggest distractor back then. For anybody in the room, again, I don't know how many Casanovas are with us tonight, but they're a distractor, but now you have every other social media platform out there. You have Switches, you have games, you have cars, you want to be somebody on TikTok, on Instagram. Are you going to get views for cards? Are you going to get views for acting a fool? If you collect cards and you move to the acting the fool, that's sort of the natural progression now. But how? Okay, Robert, there's one Casanova. I'm sorry.
Quit speaking for chair, Bob. You don't count.
I'll take Chair's hairline. Where are those kids going to be after, hopefully, they grow up? Unless there's some of those clowns in California or Jersey that live at home with their parents and are never going to grow up because they're just medium kids. That nostalgia that carried us, even the people that dipped away from the hobby for a while and came back, that nostalgia brought us back. The nostalgia of opening packs, going to the shows, going to the shop, trading with your friends, looking at the magazines, watching Don West, listening to Kenny Golden on the loudspeaker, which was probably just behind the wall. All that stuff, when you first see it, you're like, what the hell's going on? But then you watch it another time, a third time, a fourth. It becomes something that you're interweaving with your childhood or early adulthood. What's going to be that draw for these kids now in the hobby if they grow up, when they grow up, when something takes their attention away, because it will. That if it doesn't, hey, more power to them. What's going to bring them back when there's no nostalgia? Jeff Wilson's nostalgia? Santiago's nostalgia? The human stink is nostalgia? I mean, I don't. That maybe I'm too old. Maybe.
No, Dave, it's not an age thing. So Bobby pointed out something, and I think it holds true to a certain degree. The hobby itself doesn't. No, I was talking about the other one. The hobby itself no longer really caters to kids anymore.
Oh yeah.
The whole idea and concept of going to the card shop and buying tops, for instance, and getting gum, that's really how kind of the whole idea of kids collecting cards came into play. I mean, I'm going to spend a few dollars, get a couple packs of cards, and I'm going to chew this rock hard gum, but it's still fantastic. But I think it's even gone further than that, and I think it's a good thing for the hobby, at least right now, because it's bringing fresh blood. But I'm with you, Dave. It's all about the long-term sustainability. And right now, the bulk of these individuals that everybody is seeing at the shows, it's all about the money. It's not about the collectability. It's not about the long-term, quote-unquote, investment.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a collector, you are a long-term investor. It's the same concept. It's the same idea. We don't like to consider ourselves investors, but in the scheme of things, as a collector, you are technically a long-term investor.
Mm-hmm.
These kids, they're all about the money. That's how they got into it. They came across, they're seeing the headlines and, major news outlets and things along those lines talking about all this big money. They're in here because of the money. Once the money starts to dissipate or lessen in time, big thumbs up. They're going to dwindle.
Mm-hmm.
It's no different than these other individuals that have come into the play. Once the money starts shrinking, the profit margins start shrinking. They have to work that much harder to turn a profit. They're going to start dissipating. They're going to start looking for the next biggest, best thing. It's everybody tries to play the get rich quick scheme. And, there's a lot of individuals out there that use that to their advantage with what they put out there as content, but the only way that the hobby sustains is like a Vinny. Collecting with C. Getting them exposed to it early on, sharing the love of the hobby, the passion, and hope that it maintains. That's the way that you sustain the hobby. It's not about opening packs anymore. because guess what? We can't find them. It would be nice if we can. I think that there's hope around the corner as it pertains to that, but I could be wrong. But you expose your kids to the actual hobby. It's not about making money. It's about the experience. It's about the memories. It's about the nostalgia. Your favorite players, your favorite teams, remembering, opening an old pack of cards and looking at players that, haven't played in decades, but being able to tell a story about how you saw a certain person do this. That's how you get kids involved in wanting to grow into the hobby. So there's ways to do it. The issue is everybody is all about the money right now, and that's the driving force. I could be wrong, but I'm interested to hear what Vinny does have to say, even though we'll probably hear C in the background, and that's okay because this is a show about kids. It's okay, Vinny. It's fine, even if we do hear. But from your perspective, and knowing that you share the experiences with C frequently when you have that opportunity, do you agree with my thought process, or is there more to it, or can you expand on that from your perspective?
Hey, Chatty Catty. Why do you collect stuff? Why?
It's okay, C. Answer.
Is it for the fun or is it for the money?
Definitely not money, for fun.
See, there you go. See, there you go.
See?
For fun. Yes.
It's for the fun.
So tell C Uncle Steven says hush for just a minute.
Okay.
Let dad talk, because I'm knowing that you have
Thank you.
you have this vision for the future of your channel. I don't want you to spoil it. I don't want you to talk about it, but you've shared that with a few of us. And I think it's fantastic as it pertains to the aspect of kids getting involved.
I am sorry. Anyhow.
I was right in my ear.
So anyhow, it's we've talked.
See, stop.
I've said it 1,000 times, and I'm going to say it again. It's okay to make money. There's nothing wrong with that. Oh, look, someone's calling you. I think you need to go now.
No.
Go. Nah, bye-bye. Love you.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
Say goodnight, Cece.
No.
Say goodnight. Your mom's calling you.
Where's Dave?
There's Dave. Say goodnight.
Bye, guys.
Good night.
Have a good night, everybody.
Andiamo. Go.
Okay.
But it was Saturday when we had a show, and I wasn't in there long because it was pretty much overrun with people that you couldn't even get to a table. But I was like, come on, see, let's go. She's like, I don't feel like it today. I said, why? She goes, there's just going to be too many people. I want to look at stuff. And she goes, I want to bust some boxes, and they're all too expensive. Because I'm trying to teach her, you don't pay these outrageous prices because you feed the beast. And if you feed the beast, it's going to get worse and worse. And I said there was a time where we would go and we would buy 3 boxes of cards. We would bust them all and just have the greatest time in the world. And we'd buy 5 or 6 boxes. We'd bust them all. There was no saving stuff. And then if I saved something, it was to rip later. And then she came up with the idea. She's like, that's true. She'll spend my money, not hers. But to her, like her pops she had in her hand. She doesn't take them out of the box. She's like, I don't play with those. Those are kind of visual. And if I ever want to get rid of one of them or trade them, they're in a box. So I'll trade one to get one I want. So she understands the trading aspect. But you can't even find Pokemon stuff and Yu-Gi-Oh! And that kind of stuff. And let alone, she's like, let's bust some baseball. I'm found baseball. And then I was an idiot and saw soccer. I walked through the mall. There's a card shop in the mall back in Pennsylvania. There's a Target. You go through the Target into the mall. There's a card shop right there. I saw 6 boxes of Mosaic soccer. I'm like, who's going to take Mosaic soccer here? I got plenty of time. I'll get it on the way out. Poof. Gone. So, I mean, I've been waiting to bust soccer cards with her for 2 years, ever since she really got into soccer, and she's a goalie now. It's the luck of the draw, but I don't want to pay $40 for a blaster because I understand people making money. More power to you, but I'm not going to feed your beast. I'm just not going to do it.
But that's what, and that's why I alluded to, and it's about the money. It's, these people have come into this, and if they say that they've been doing this for a while, and, that's questionable at best. Define a while. You talking 6 months, 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. And now realizing that there's a way to make money and a living from it. That's what people are seeing. That's what everybody's following. And as we've always said, there's more to that whole process than what is being displayed. You're getting a small portion of what it's like to work like a big deal. Whether you're selling something, whether you're doing cash trade, whatever it may be. Yes, they're giving you an inside look to some of it, but it's still not all of it.
Yep.
It's not that simple all the time. And they're portraying this as if it is. When you start conveying that to a larger audience, you have these kids with their Pelican cases going around to dealers and trying to sell their stuff. And it's like, here, let me throw my case up here. And it's all this. And, this is what I want. Well, no. Because everything, as when you're talking cards, and I know we talk about this term and we don't really like it, cards are fluid. Anything can change at the drop of a hat. If you have a crap ton of Bulbuls because he was hot at the time, and you sat on him too long because you took somebody's advice, and now you try and turn around and get rid of them, guess what? You're SOL. You're not going to be able to get rid of them for any sort of substantial profit that you were hoping to get. Because things change. Everything is cyclical. Unless you're talking about the main guys, as we always talk about, which is the other thing that drives us nuts, unless it's LeBron, Kobe, Trout, Brady, and those guys, then nobody wants it.
Mm-hmm.
On the flip side, I mean, Ed was able to accomplish his main goal when he went to the National, and I'm super pumped for him because I know that losing that Trout some time ago really bothered him. He was able to take advantage of something because I'm going to say you don't know what's going to happen with Ohtani in years to come.
Yep.
Trout has still cemented himself in the baseball like world of prime names. It's his value is going to be there regardless, unless he goes out and, goes on a murder spree or something. Then it's something different. Ohtani, you just don't know. Ohtani's a generational talent, in my opinion. I want him to do well. I do, because I think it's awesome, because it kind of goes back to the Babe Ruth days, phenomenal pitcher and a hell of a hitter. That's not something that we've seen in a long time. So it's great for the sport. But at the same time, it's like he's been injury prone, though, as we've all known. And it's hard to know what his future holds. Doesn't mean that he won't be one of the best dual threat players to ever play the game. It's possible. We just don't know. He's still early on in his career. So it's too focused on who's hot at the moment. And, when you deal with something like that, you run the risk of individuals getting a little feisty in their trading mentality or their tactics and things along those lines. And the money's great. All of us here probably could have, made decent money if we took advantage of situations. Dave, I know, you've been able to make some sales and to fund some big cards. Dave's taken advantage of it. I don't know if anybody else has. I know, Vinny, you were trying to work a deal. I know you worked some deals previously to a degree, but it's much more for us than it is good deals only, making moves, any of that kind of crap that we all make fun of these days.
Well, I tried to make one Saturday, and it was a done deal. I had a card, and I talked to the guy last time I was there. I said, "You want this?" He said, I showed him a picture of it. He's like, "I'll give you this much in trade." I said, "Works good for me." I said, "Put all this stuff away for me when you come back. That's what I'll trade it for." Done. Went there Saturday, waiting, because all the Pelican guys were sitting up there trying to sell him stuff. And after the fourth guy he took ahead of me, I said, "Okay." I said, "Remember that deal we had?" He's like, "Oh, yeah." I said, "Don't worry about it." He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Forget about it." I said, "I'm done." I said, they want to break the line here. You say 1 minute to me 7 times, 1 minute's gone. It's respect.
Yep.
It's respect. You took one guy, fine. You took the second guy, yeah. Took the third and the fourth guy, I'm done. I'm not playing games, because they got a case. And then what did you buy? What did you buy?
Probably nothing.
But I had the card you wanted, and I know you could have moved.
Mm-hmm.
Could have got graded and moved, even with more money.
Well, but here's the thing. So even from that experience, dealers have to learn how to teach some of these people respect, though, too. If you know that there's a deal that's been done, you had a gentleman's agreement, and you're standing right there, he's acknowledged you, he knows you're standing there, and people are consistently getting in the middle. Prime example of a dealer being able, "Hey, you know what? You're going to have to give me a minute. This guy's been waiting patiently. We've already got a deal done. Let me take care of him. I'll be with you in a minute." And then if they keep pushing, it's like, "You know what, dude? I don't want your stuff. Just go."
Yep.
Then the guy that he was making a deal with, I'm walking around, and he comes and he says, "Hey, you interested in anything in this case?" I said, "No." I said, "Honestly, you're the one that screwed up my deal getting done. And you want me to look at your stuff? It could have been great stuff in there, but it's out of principle."
Do you have any hockey? No. Well, then I don't want none of it.
Well, I look at baseball.
I know you do. I know you do. I'm just giving you crap.
Yeah, but there, I doubt there's any hockey in there. You know, I went to see one guy that I always see. I got a handful of cards from him. I talked to him about bringing more cards, inserts to the next show. He wrote himself a note. It just took 8 months, Dave, but he wrote himself a note this time. So we might be good for next month. And then I talked to the other guy, and he's going to bring his value boxes to a show next month because they're not having it this week. Or this month, they're not having a show. And I was gone. I picked up a couple things and I was out the door. I'm not. And when you try to negotiate, oh no, that you don't know what that's worth. Au contraire. I am well aware of what that's worth and how much you're overcharging. I'll meet you where it's the market value of it, but I'm not paying triple it. It's insane. But
that's the thing. Market value to one person is different to somebody else because of the way that they look at things.
Mm-hmm.
And they're always going to argue that their philosophy is right over somebody else's.
Well, I'm here for good deals only. So, I don't know about all y'all, but that's what I'm doing.
Well, I talk about I'm a cheap ass, so
that was the problem I had with that guy where I made that big purchase back last March or February with all those hockey inserts. I said, bring more of this stuff. Bring it all. I will work something out. We worked something out. I told him the 4 guys I was looking for. Waugh, Forsberg, Brodeur, Sakic. I get back on Facebook right about Thanksgiving, maybe right after. There's a hockey group. Join that. Because again, I hadn't been on Facebook in a year-ish or so. 18 months. Whatever it was. Get back on there. Join that. I see that guy's name. I'm like, that can't be the same guy. He's offering Clear the Ice Forsberg, some other Forsberg, like to 100 to this one guy for like $50 for a lockdown. I'm like, okay. Check the guy's name. Same fucker. Believe it or not, when it comes to like the dealing with cards, it takes a lot for me to absolutely lose my shit. I almost rationalize some of the actions. I'm like, okay, I can see it from that point of view, but I gotta stick to my moral compass when it comes to cards. And then he had messaged me. He's like, we still good for the deal? And I said, nah. He's like, why? I said, you see that post on Facebook you made? There's Forsbergs in there. I've told you. Whatever Forsbergs you've got, I'll take. He's like, well, I was just trying to... I'm like, whatever Forsbergs you have, I was going to take. That was our agreement. Those 4 players, and then there's a bunch of insert sets and lots. So I didn't think you'd... I'm like, you didn't think I'd find out. That's the problem. When you say that, or when you're like, I didn't think... when you say, I don't think, I'm done. I don't care. You have every Brodeur I want. Fuck you. Burn. I'll start your cards on fire, and that will be you burning.
Because that goes along with the gentleman's agreement.
Yeah, we had a price. I said, you save everything for me that you've got. 90s hockey up until when you stopped in like 01, 02. Everything, save it. He didn't. I'm not sitting there and saying that because, oh man, I'm going to flex any like financial power, because it's not. It's what I want to get. It's what I've been picking up the last, 18 months, a good chunk of it. And he would have got a nice payday, but you choose to be greedy in the moment, and the guy I don't even think bought the stuff from him, the Forsbergs. And so I said, okay, that's fine. So, and that wasn't like a young dealer either. That guy was probably early to mid 50s. But it could be a younger guy, it could be an older guy. When your moral compass goes to the dollar sign every time, it doesn't matter what the age is. That's somebody I'm not going to deal with. Again, if I say, hey, next show, let me accrue some funds, let me accrue some trade bait, let's try to work something out. Hold this, especially if it's not somebody like the GOATs, as the kids would say. Mahomes, all the people we love to hear about constantly. If it's not one of them, yeah, I can do that. Then the next show you come in there, what'd you come up with? What are we going to work for a deal? Oh, I didn't come up. Then okay, that's on the person that wants the card. You can't blame the dealer for saying, well, you know what? I waited a month. I probably could have had a sale, but I stuck to this. That's where it would work both ways. Just so we're clear on all that. Not just the one way, like we want something and then they go and do it. No, if you hold the card and then we are on that other end of, well, we didn't come up with something, money, trade, whatever, split, that's on us, and then dealer can move on. But it's when kids see that, when the hobby newbies see that, when they start thinking that's commonplace, when they think that's, it happens, you shrug it off and move on. No. The hobby veterans, maybe some people just, they want the card so bad they'll do whatever it takes. I won't. I'll hold a grudge. I've been known to do that for many a year over tiny things. Some people might say I'm one of the lost members of the Petty family. Richard Petty's long lost son. I'm so petty. But there's so much going on with the kid part that you could have like 4 or 5 hours of this, because when you say the nostalgia too, every video you see the same kids or different kids saying the same people they want.
Yep.
I get that. Hey, everybody wanted Jordan cards in the 90s. That nobody didn't want them. But you know what? You didn't all have opportunities for Jordan cards. Somebody had to pick up Shaq. Somebody had to pick up Zoe, Garnett, Grant Hill, Stackhouse, Pippen, Olajuwon, Ewing, Mailman, Stockton, Barkley, Dominique. Everybody, there was so many people that collect. It's the same way now, but there's 5, 6, 10 people that they all want. How is that nostalgia going to be the same way? Like, man, I want a Joe Ingles. Let's collect Joe Ingles. He's a great shooter. Well, no. Donovan Mitchell's the guy I want. And you don't even hear of him, and he's a super solid player.
Because it's the focus around the money aspect, and that's it. I mean, it's all surrounded around money, and eventually, A, the money's going to run dry, or B, it's going to get to the point to where the demand is going to be so low to where the supply is going to be excessive, and people are going to start getting things for pennies on the dollar. Standard economics, folks. We talk about it all the time. Supply and demand is a thing. It's no different in the sports card space. The more supply you have, eventually demand is going to dissipate, because only so many people are going to want something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many people really want a Luca Prism rookie? There's thousands of them. The supply way outweighs the demand. That at some point, stuff's going to tank.
Unless you're Brian Gray, he says there's not enough.
Go ahead, Vinny.
He's a special guy.
Think about this too. So you have your centers of the universe. You had that Hofstra show over the weekend. You got Dallas. You got Atlanta. You got all these shows that occur. All the cards that are getting moved are among the same people going to the same places. Goes to A, B, C, D, E. And then, hey, this card, I had this card, serial number 27. I had this 7 months ago. Of course you did. Because you sold it at the high, sold it to them. They lost money. They sold it to them. They gained money. And it comes full circle. It's the same card circulating through the same people. Think about it. When is that? When is it going to go outside the realm of the group of where these cards are circulating?
When it lands in the hands of a collector, and usually a collector is not going to pay the premium.
Nope. I'm
trying to think of the way to word this real quick. The collector, I won't say that the collector won't pay the premium, but the collector has an idea of what they're willing to pay for something. And if it goes a little outside of that realm, there's still that possibility in which the collector will still make a purchase. But they're not going to go way outside of their set idea of their budget or what they're willing to spend.
Unless it's like a Grail card where, again, there's not going to be, it's not a Luka Silver. It's not an Optic Silver Lamar Jackson. Those aren't Grail cards. If that's a Grail card to you, you don't understand the terminology. Plain and simple. I don't like telling people how to collect, but that's something you just don't understand. And there, you'll pay up for that Grail card. You won't pay up for something that's, I like it. But at the same time, if it's an unnumbered something or another, unless you're specific with the insert, like we've said, the jambalayas, the PMGs, and essential credentials, the 24 carats, something like that. What was it? The game dated moments for Upper Deck. You don't see a lot of those. You'll pay up for stuff you don't see. And if the funds are available. You guys both saw what I put for a max bid on that Rotor. That was the dumbest thing I could have done. If it would have went for like 100 less than that, I would have had probably buyer's remorse. I would have been happy, but once again, I would have been like, I really need to go that high. So you hope for getting cards that you want, that you really want. This isn't like a Mario Lemieux to like $299. Like, oh man, I really need it. Well, it's not like the first 10 are numbered or like a different color. It's not a PMG. It's just a regular, let's say an Upper Deck insert. It's like, yeah, I want that, but I'm not going to pay $20 for it. I'll pay 10. Well, this one's here for 20. Well, no, again, I will pay 10. That there are nearly 300 of these cards. Well, there's only 300. You're not talking to somebody that just hatched out of the hobby womb yesterday. I know that there are 300. I will pay what I think is fair. If we do not come to a deal, we'll move on. And that's where I wish these kids would show that too. I know, I think Muttonhead Schmedium guy showed one where he didn't make the deal. Which I'm like, good, that you have to show that if you actually want to be some sort of viable entity in this content creator space. You can't just show fucking good deals only. You can't, that's not how life works. But there again, people don't want to show the negative stuff. They don't want to show that. They don't want to, that'll tarnish me. That tarnishes me because I didn't make that deal. Well, that's life. Not every deal gets signed, sealed, and delivered. It's not yours. So, we've said it before. We'll say it again. Transparency, truthfulness, honesty, communication.
Positive and negative.
Yeah.
But that's why we take different approaches. We look at all sides of it. We can speak the positive. There's a lot of positives as it pertains to a lot of what's going on right now. But there's also a lot of negatives.
We've spoken about this too. It's not just like, hey, we're going to talk positive about Vinny, but baseball collector is negative. I will give props where any props are due. I have no problem speaking well about people that I might not like, possibly, allegedly. I have no problem with that. When you do well by me, I will make sure that I say that. But when you do bad by me, I don't forget. That's probably my problem, but whatever. I digress.
Not necessarily. It's one of those in which you have certain expectations in the way people should conduct themselves in the space. And, when people do things outside of what you consider to be truthful and honest and things along those lines, you don't hesitate to call it out. And it's not a bad thing. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, but we're all entitled to them. And as I've always said, if you have an opinion, positive or negative, about a situation, a circumstance, a person, a video, whatever, don't just say, well, this is a load of crap. I hate this person, and not bring anything else to the table. You just ruined your entire argument.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those in which when you positive, negative, indifferent, it's irrelevant. It's the fact of, as you have conversations and you talk about your opinions, we have a lot of opinions on this show. A lot of people in the chat have their own opinions as it pertains to things. And, none of them are wrong. But everybody provides some sort of substance as to why that they think or believe the certain way that they do. We can either agree, disagree, expand, whatever. But everybody has the ability and the opportunity here to speak their mind. There is never a wrong answer, unless you want to, well, no. I guess anybody could call me a dick and I'd say, yeah, you're probably right. But I think everybody gets where I'm going with this. No opinions are off limits. And as long as you bring some sort of justification as to why you feel the way that you do, nobody's going to argue. We can disagree for certain reasons, or we can agree for certain reasons. But there's nothing off limits when it comes to that. No, I don't want to become the old man of the hobby, Bobby. You've got that one cornered, and I think we'll let you have that one still for years to come. I'm okay with that. I'm not ready for that designation just yet. I already have enough nicknames. I don't need to also become the old man of the hobby, or get in the select group of old men in the hobby, for that matter. We do appreciate what you. No, not too late. I'm still much younger than you, sir. I still have a few years.
Bobby, we appreciate you, bro.
You took away you took it away from me, Dave. How freaking dare you? I'm done with this show. I'm retiring officially from the IRP. Okay, old men thinking. Okay, I'll accept that. I will accept that, and I think anybody, both of us, at least Vinny and Dave would probably agree with that. We can accept that. We don't have an issue with that. But it's interesting to see the consistent dynamic shift as it pertains to the youth and their way of thinking, their processes and things along those lines, or as the Canadians say, processes. Oops, sorry. It is, but I have one that also says it the other way. I guess it depends on what part of Canada you're in. Always cracks me up. But anyways, I digress. But the change in the do what?
I said the way they say it is eloquent.
I wouldn't go that far. Now you're gonna like give the Canadians some ego boost or something. We don't need that. Just kidding, you guys. Just kidding. Much love to the folks up north.
Hate to tell you, half your audience is Canadian.
Wow, really?
A good bit of them.
Really? Are they? Damn, Benny, I didn't know that.
Captain Obvious down here in the bottom box.
Jeez. Anyways, yep. Hey.
And I'm like Canada South. I'm like 10 minutes from the border. So,
well, Dave is what, an hour and a half?
Yeah, about
30 minutes.
20-minute walk if we had a straight shot.
Yeah, I'm way down south, so you know that's not possible for me. But no, I have much love for the Canadians. A lot of my coworkers are Canadian, and they're fantastic. I actually love working with them. But anyways, going back to what I was saying, it's consistently seeing the dynamic shift, and you know it'll be interesting to see if it maintains or if there's going to be another shift in the way that kids approach things. To be brutally honest, I hope some of them stay and actually embrace the collectability aspect of it. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, for those that can't look past the almighty buck, please go away. Please go. Make your money, do your thing, and go.
I don't even have a problem if they stay. Just don't give out information that's not always correct.
That's why I want them to go. It's all about what, Dave?
They'll never be transparent. That doesn't fit the money-making snake oil salesman scheme. If you're transparent, you're telling the truth, then showing the whole spectrum, you're going to alienate somebody. If you show rainbows, unicorns, and toilet flowers, you're going to be, oh, I like this guy. He's always positive. Well, he's putting on the mask of always positive.
Yep.
Cap positivity. It's like, no, that's not the hobby. That's not anywhere in life. And if you think that, I mean, maybe you need your head dunked in the toilet.
I still don't think that fix it, Dave, in the scheme of things.
It just depends on how long you held the head underwater.
Well, that's true, too. Thanks, kiddo. Love you. I agree with the transparency aspect. It's also knowledge transfer. It's one of those in which, you know, let's be realistic. There are things even that the three of us old people, old collectors, could still learn from the new crop. There's always, but they're not apt to share. It's one of those in which they don't bring anything of value that I've experienced. I'm speaking from my experience. I'm not speaking for anybody else because I can't do that. But they're not bringing anything to the table and sharing that knowledge, or whether it be to another kid, another collector, anything. We always talk about sharing your knowledge and informing people and educating people. And if there's opportunity to do that, then people should do that, no matter where they fall in the spectrum. I don't care if they're a flipper, dealer, it doesn't matter. But usually if you have only one focus, and that focus is monetary, there is none of the other. It's non-existent. So from that perspective, I would rather them go.
Mm-hmm.
It's like my old man said to me the other night. He goes, once you take and you start thinking with your wallet in the fact of filling it, this is not going to be fun for you anymore. He goes, the chase won't be fun. He goes, now don't think of it as a deterrent for not to make money when you have an opportunity to do so, if you choose to do that. But if your whole focus, it doesn't become your PC anymore. And I say it again, it becomes your inventory, not your collection. If you feel good with a bunch of people trading a bunch of cards and making deals, thousands of them in a hotel room, that's something moved. It's a dog. Sorry. Anyhow, squirrel. It's
focus, Vinny. Focus.
There's a difference between that, and there's a difference between having a PC and having inventory. And I don't know. That's just, to me, that is a delineation that has to be made. Come here, dog.
Well, and I think, to a degree, I think you can have both. I think you can have inventory. I think you can have a collection. I think it's doable. We know of a few people who are like that. It is doable. It is feasible. But at the same time, as you alluded to, there has to be that, delineation between the two of them. And perhaps not everybody uses that separation. They call it PC or something along those lines, when in fact it may not be. They're using that as a designator or, the catchphrase type thing, because, all of us talk about personal collections or, hey, adding something new to the collection. But is it actually to the collection? Not sure why they would want to use that term, because most people, like all of us, we want to know what you pick up for your collection. But we don't give a crap what inventory you're picking up. Most of us don't.
Yeah. They did. It's just a different name. It's pretty card. Or
profitable card.
Yeah. Nice. They got 3 of them that they like.
Possible profitable card. We'll use double P's here. Oh, that's the pop one, isn't it, Dave? The gold one.
Yeah, the actual scarcity, and then scarcity.
The manufactured scarcity. Because what is that number to 50?
Yep.
Gotcha. And I just like to go on record and say I miss the larger serial numbers.
Yeah.
The smaller ones sometimes drive my eyes nuts.
Oh.
Fake slab. Brad just called it a fake slab.
I believe it.
It matches. So anything else we want to talk about from the kids' perspective? I'm just going to throw it out there. Any interest in talking the Fanatics deal briefly?
We can.
I don't want to. I don't want to do a deep dive. I don't want to. Yeah. I don't want to beat the dead horse.
Saying, I like hearing Carlos talk about the stuff because he actually talks about it in a way.
In a way, what? Did you stop talking, Dave? Or am I like lagging big time?
You were spinning for a minute there.
Oh, I was. Sorry. For the first time, it wasn't spinning on my side. Usually it spins on my side, but that was interesting.
No, usually you'll be speaking in like super slow motion. So then I just do something like take a drink of the drink or whatever, and then
hey, whatever works. But you were just mentioning, you like how Carlos talks about things, but I didn't.
He doesn't like an actual. I won't say thought-provoking because I don't want to bump his ego any higher than we can. But it's not the usual just knee-jerk reaction. It's actually you've got some pinpoint things, and as he said with us before, like, he sort of sees things at times in a different realm than we do. And when you start hearing the same, Tops is going to be done. As our good friend Lee Corso several times has said, not so fast, my friend. I don't think they're done. The more I think about it, if they get all three of them, and again, I love hockey, but nobody considers them major, even though they're a major license. I think right now, Fanatics would probably take soccer over hockey. I want to see where somebody had put, you give the companies all a handful to 10 products, all licensed.
Yeah, you sublet it. You sub-license them out.
That would be the easiest way to do things. You still control stuff. You still have manufacturers with their printing abilities and capabilities. You still have the brain trust for all these. And then you have, it's almost like a president of cards. You have Fanatics. You have a president, and you have like Congress. And it's like, okay, you or Congress or House of Representatives or however you want to say it, the nomenclature.
That's two now, Dave.
I know. Payment is in the mail.
Allegedly.
That way you don't have to. You just have to. You hand out the rules. You say you play by our rules. If you don't, it's on you. It's like when Upper Deck got booted because they didn't want to play by the rules. They kept on trying to finagle things around, and everybody forgets that or doesn't even remember it because they weren't in the hobby. Oh, I like Upper Deck. I wish they were back. Well, they had a chance to be a player, but they got greedy.
Yep.
And so that's why they got completely booted out of everything except hockey. And they got all these goofy products that, what the hell did I see? Like the multi-sport
metal.
Like, that looks dog shit.
I won't judge it until
I will.
Till I see it.
The
But if you saw it,
the previews look like dog shit. I will go that will be the plank I walk out on.
So here's my thought process with all of this. The three of us will sit here and yell and scream till we're blue in the face as it pertains to innovation and competition.
Yep.
We all feel like there needs to be competition. And everybody's first thought process is, well, if Fanatics corners the three major sports, although I still consider hockey a major sport, but for the U.S., the three major sports, that everything's going to go to crap. Well, let me remind everybody. Let me take you back a few years to when Panini got the exclusive to the NFL license. Let me take you back when Panini got the NFL or the NBA license, the sole NBA license. Everybody was griping, complaining, it's a monopoly, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, I'm not going to do this. They're going to just do this. And everybody griped, bitched, moaned, groaned, and complained. Guess what? Everybody's still buying their crap. So obviously it didn't bother you that much. You were all talk and no action. It's one of those in which, did I have concerns? Yes, I had valid concerns. I think a lot of people had valid concerns. A lot of those concerns have come to light because we've experienced the complete and utter destruction of some good brands.
Mm-hmm.
They've just completely and utterly ruined it and drilled it into the dirt because they oversaturated it with parallels and everything else. Because that's what the consumer wants. Well, in my opinion, only a small percentage of the consumer wants that. That's where they're manufacturing the quote-unquote value aspect of it. I'm not saying parallels are bad. Nobody's saying parallels are bad. But when you sit there and you start having 20 and 25 parallels, it gets a little excessive. And then when you start including short prints, it gets excessive. It takes out the set collector. Not that there's a lot of set collectors out there, but there's still a small portion of us that do like to collect sets. Vinny, you're one of them. I'm one of them. Dave, I know you're more into the insert aspect, but even that becomes almost an impossibility to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they do this. We're not going to know what it's going to look like. They have years to ramp this up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking of it from a cost perspective. And to circle back exactly what you alluded to, still leveraging the manufacturers to basically giving them subleases or, sub-license to produce certain products. That way you still keep the namesake with some of these. Topps is synonymous with baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So do you buy Topps? Do you buy the Topps name? That's nostalgia. So for anybody who's ever collected cards, everybody knows Topps. Okay, not everybody. Us old school guys, everybody knows Topps. Topps has been around forever. So it's all going to be dependent on how they take this, how they approach it, what they do in order to try and revamp the space. I think it's time we need a change, folks. Change is good. Nobody likes it, but change is good. And they have opportunities to think about this and make it beneficial for all aspects of the hobby economy. Dealers, flippers, collectors, whatever. There's opportunities. It'll be interesting to see which way they take it. But to sit there and everybody or a lot of people, getting riled up and upset about it, it's like, this isn't the first time this has happened. It happened twice with Panini, and people griped, moaned, groaned, and complained. And yet, guess what? They're still here. They're still cranking out products, and people are still buying them. So just see what happens. Everything right now is speculation. Everything is speculation. Unfortunately, I don't think digital cards are going anywhere. I think that's going to be the norm, to a certain degree. But it's cheaper. It's cheaper for them to go the digital route. However, if they take it fully digital, I think there'll be more of an uproar. And if that's the case, then I could understand more and more people getting extremely upset.
Mm-hmm.
But, if they hire the right people, if, they bring in long-term design people, collectors, hobbyists, hobby veterans to kind of think through this, they have an opportunity to completely revitalize. See, and that's the thing. You're not a card person. You're a trinkets guy. But you appreciate the history. You appreciate that part of it. That's the nostalgia for you. And I can't speak for anybody else. I appreciate that aspect. I'm pretty sure Dave does. We've always enjoyed listening to your insight and, what you bring to the table and talking about things. Yes, it's hockey oriented, but I can still appreciate it because you're not just going to get that by doing a Google search and everything else. I mean, you've put forth the time and the effort to educate yourself and really cement that part of your hobby knowledge. And it's paramount. It's important that you share it. And we all appreciate when you take those opportunities to do that. But, at the end of the day, there are so many ways that this could go. I'm going to look at it from a glass half full perspective, even though I can be very negative and I do have concerns, but we can't look at the negative right now because we still don't know. And until we know more, all it is it's news. It's a headline. We know that they have it. We know that it's going to be coming. Now it's up to them to be forthcoming with information and what their plan is.
I think we just have to use my wife's term of that up and wait and see where it takes us. And if it takes us to the moon, great. If it buries us in the sand, well, that's going to suck. But you like you said, we could speculate all we want, and like Panini. I watched two things today where they just trash Panini. But I said to myself, if I go back and I looked at the hockey cards that Panini made, I don't know who was making it, who was involved, but to that person, I raise a glass to you of non-alcoholic beverage. Because Dominion and all that stuff, like tonight, I was trying to win a Dominion card. I wanted another one. Do I have one? Yeah. Guess what? I want another one because it's that pretty. It's just, I love it. It's just gorgeous. And every time I see it, I want another one. Now, the other one was the number to 66 card that I didn't have, and they beat me by $1. And they beat me by $1 for the other one, too.
That you know of.
That I know of. But I've run into it more and more lately that people have bought stuff, and one of two things have happened. It's either been relisted and I've gotten it the next time, or that person tries to flip it and I wait them out. There's one of those vault cards. Carlos and I were having this conversation. They're not truly one of ones. it's 1-of-1 because it has a black patch. Well, there's the same card with a white patch, and it's a 1-of-1, and it has a black and white patch. It has a black, white, and gold patch, all 1-of-1s. Well, somebody outsniped me, and now he was trying to sell it for $100, had it on bids for 40. He kind of button hooked me, and now he wants to sell it for 70 to get double his money. But I'll wait this out and see if I can get on bids again and pay maybe $10 more than I really want to, but I like the card. So if I don't get it, I don't get it. I live to fight another day.
Exactly.
I'm not going to lose my mind over it. I mean, is it awesome sitting there with 3 seconds left? Ooh, I can feel the excitement. And then when it says sorry you've lost, yeah. The excitement's like, oh, I almost had it. Almost had it. It's like the guy with the dollar on the end of the fishing pole. Ooh, you almost got it. You almost got it. But I'll live to collect another day. I'll find something else I'm hunting for. The biggest thing is I got something for my brother tonight. And I'm not going to name what it is just in case he's watching. But
Good idea.
I got you. But
Good idea.
That's the kind of thing that gives me. We were talking, and this hobby will always go back to 3 brothers who started this 20 plus years ago. And then when my daughter's sitting there with my brother and I'm there and we're all talking, and my daughter says, you know, hey, Uncle, did you really do all that? He goes, you have no idea the times me and your dad had and what we did and how much fun we had.
Is that part of that Dumble lot that you ended up getting or whatever, Dave?
Some are.
Okay. I would love to be able for them to find a way to bring back some of the what I consider the classic sets under the original name.
Yep.
Donruss Elite, Crown Royal, Revolution. That's the Pacific name, as a lot of people may or may not know.
Titanium. That would be.
Yep.
But gridiron gear. Not Panini gridiron gear.
Mm-hmm.
Just the original old school names. I would love to see Exquisite football come back in NFL uniforms. Exquisite was a beautiful product for a long time. I like their stuff in the college unis. Not everybody cares for the college stuff. I enjoy it. But that's because it has to do with being a player collector. But to come back and just have the original names, I think would add, well, for us old school folks, the added nostalgia. So it's, like I said, national treasures. Yep, playoff national treasures, not Panini. The only one that's Panini actually did early on right was Immaculate, in my opinion. That could stay Immaculate, I guess. But it's just there's so many opportunities. There's so many ways, there's so many doors that can be opened and so many directions in which they can take it. I'm interested to see. I'm not going to make speculation. I'm not going to gripe. I'm not going to complain because, like I said, none of us know anything yet. We'll see if they're transparent with their information and what their plans are. But we have to wait and see what that looks like. Because if you kind of, issue out the sub-licenses to the existing card manufacturers, they're still in the business. They already have contracts with printers. They're not having to, Fanatics isn't having to, look for a printer to produce stuff. There so many options, so many opportunities.
Well, that makes it hand in hand. If they're getting, let's see, if they try to get some game use stuff, they can lot it out to these companies. Then you're not getting 8 million jersey cards that nobody cares about anymore. You can sort of, again, this is thinking shockingly from the glass half full, you can sort of regulate that jersey stuff. Yeah, if you want to have, like, okay, you've got the Ring of Honor celebration, Alan Page goes in. I know he's already in there, but let's say he goes in, you got the Vikings, everybody that's there, that's in the Ring of Honor or from his team, you put a set of that in, like, some Topps set. Like, have Topps Ring of Honor. So I think that was at one point a set back in, like, the mid-2000s, or an insert set. Have that, and then have your jersey numbered to, like, 100 or 50 or whatever portion you get, and have, like, the patches numbered to 20. Again, even if it's player worn, you're putting a cap on it.
Right. You're not oversaturating.
Yes, and then you can, again, this is pipe dreams and wishful thinking, which I'm not the king of. I would say go back to more of the insert stuff. Go back to something numbered to 1,000 where it's actually, oh man, that's a tough card to get. To 500, that's a tough card to get. To 100, man, you're good luck with that. But I just don't think that's going to happen. I wanted to, but to see all these people knee-jerk reactions that they're running for the cliff, Topps is done. This is everybody's bitched about every company for the last every year.
Yep.
Redemptions, sticker autos, player one, too many things, not enough, can't find it, too expensive. All of a sudden, now it's oh no, we can't lose. Well, what are we losing? We're losing names. We lost Donruss, Leaf, Playoff, Pinnacle. We lost all those, but they came back. People didn't like him at first. Select, that wasn't anybody's favorite. Then all of a sudden it was great. You had Leaf certified. That was great with Leaf. As a standalone with Leaf, Donruss Leaf Playoff. Then Panini took over, and I've said it before. Trash. It would be great to have them listen to collectors. Who are you going to listen to, though? What collectors are going to come in there? Is it going to be the same stupid-ass influencing people? The people that have channels with tons of subs on there? That's the where we're going to, again, measure the knowledge? If it's that, I mean, you may as well just not have any cards. Listen to those jag-offs. So I don't want to be hopeful because that's not my MO. But in the same breath, Christ, the license runs out in 2025, 2026, somewhere in there. You got 4 to 5 years. You got 4 to 5 years to figure it out. If you can't figure it out, then let cards go away. If you can't figure it out in that amount of time, you don't deserve anything. But from Fanatics standpoint, you sublease that stuff. Guess what? You're making your money back.
Well, and on the flip side, so look at it from a valuation perspective, though, too. Fanatics is like an $18 billion a year company. Okay? You're talking about Panini, who is maybe $1 billion a year. Panini America, that is. The whole gambit, not just, it's not, well, Panini America is the cards aspect. It's Panini in general, whatever the freaking group is. Panini Group, or I don't even freaking know. maybe $1 billion a year company across all of what they do. Tops, is nowhere near that valuation. Upper Deck could be pushing close, but more from like certified memorabilia component, not just card related. But UD authenticated memorabilia, I mean, that's some big business though too. But even if you combine them all, you're not even sniffing $18 billion a year. You're not anywhere close. So when you think of it from a valuation perspective, there is a lot more opportunity with Fanatics and the money that they have and having the full licenses and having the leagues and the players associations have a piece of the pie in that company opens the doors, I think, for additional agreements to be made for game used memorabilia. So you start having the possibility of game used being the majority of what would be included in cards. Just my opinion. I could be way off base. But when you have this vision and you have the Players Association and the league having a portion of the proceeds, that changes the dynamic a little bit more though too. So they may be more willing to allow for things to take place. Easier to work with. Just throwing that out there as a thing. Who knows? I digress.
I'm surprised we haven't heard any of the basketball folks start coming out and saying, well, maybe Jordan will sign Panini products now and he can be on an auto with Giannis and Durant and Zion. Would that be cool? Yeah, but at the same time, that could end up being like Michael Jordan, Eddie Curry dual auto down the road. Or Eddie Curry, Tyson Chandler, and Michael Jordan triple auto. Guess what? One of those guys was good. Chandler had a good career. Solid. Not a number one or number two pick. Solid. But I don't like the hypothetical in that realm. So I'm thankful I haven't stumbled across any of those. I don't like the what if this could be made? What if that was made? Well, again, I can play third grader too and come up with all kinds of cool card designs. I did that when I was in third grade. Now as a surly old man, I don't think of that. I think of what's trying to be best for the hobby in all realms. I still wish somebody'd ask a card manufacturer head instead of being so positive about specific things, going away from their cool laser cut die cuts inserts to oversaturating the game use market. But I digress.
Yes, we can talk about that until we're blue in the face too. And Brad, it's one of you may be right. I've always wondered if that was like a lifetime license agreement type situation, but at the same time, money talks. Not that Jordan needs any more money, but it's one of those of which it's all dependent on how you approach it.
He does like to gamble.
So if that's the case, then there's no more Jordan autographs, which means that just it increases their value, so to speak. That means that there's going to be no more from that perspective. There's going to be certain concessions that are going to have to take place with all of this. It's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
What those impacts are, we're not going to know until things kind of get ironed out. I wouldn't mind Fleer coming back.
No, that would be. If you could come back with Flair, or Flair Showcase. maybe brilliant. You can do those three. You get your low, your mid, your high.
So many, like I said, so many options, so many opportunities, and this is so early on. It's one of those in which we're all spitballing things and what we would love to see, and it's one of those in which it'd be kind of cool if Fanatics opened up surveys and stuff along those lines, and like what would you guys like to see in the future type scenario, and just listen to the collective. Some people may get what they want, others may not, but it's one of those in which if you this is why I say if you want to do it right, leverage your resources, leverage the people who collect, who are dealers, who are flippers, everybody. Leverage the feedback from everybody, and tally up the results and see what happens. If it's feasible, it's feasible. If it's not, it's not. But we are the customer. We should have a voice, and I think we should be given an opportunity to provide those opinions. Whether or not that happens, who knows? It could just be money at the end of the day for them, and they don't care. They may run it into the ground. We don't know. But who's to say? As of right now, we don't know.
Yeah, the paint.
And
we've got the paint to paint the house, and we haven't even cracked the seal on the can to open up the paint can. And there's a plethora, a virtual plethora of options, thought processes that we can have. Again, that's fun to think in that regard, but at the same time, sort of be cognizant of where have we seen the hobby go over the last 20 years. You go from those, and again, we're in like the corner of the corner of the corner, like in the top part of the ceiling. We love the inserts, and that's something we've loved throughout. I know Steve's like the autographs of TD, but at the same time, he still enjoyed the inserts. They weren't his main focus, but Vinny stepped away, but still remembers what he pulled in the 90s and those inserts. So we're in the very small niche part of the community, and like our likes. But to get away from stuff that, I mean, it shouldn't matter how many of a card are made. That's one of the things I might be in the minority of when you hear some of these old heads of companies say, well, we don't want to give away, or we don't like to give away how many are made. Why? Because what, your competitor is going to do what? The same card? If you've built up a brand, it's not like Panini or somebody else was going to do Young Guns. People do Young Guns for Upper Deck because that is A, most of the time, the affordable rookie, and B, one that sustains, especially if you hit even like a mid-tier player and up, that sustains value over the long haul. And it doesn't have to be an auto. It doesn't have to be serial numbered. If it's a high gloss, if it's exclusive, midnight parallel, whatever, the clear cut, that's fine. But with just like a regular Young Gun, people like it. Who cares how many are made? That shouldn't be a deterrent. That's why folks want to know some of the time, hey, is that going to be a long-term good investment? Or is there 45,000 in these cards, like a classic LP from 92, 93? That's not a limited card. If you got an insert, there's only 649 of them. If you do the pack odds and case odds, or you start push your numbers together, you can do it that way, and then say, okay, I like the card, I'll buy it. But if you like the card, regardless of how many are made, $649, $30, $10,000, you're probably going to buy it if you can fit it in your budget. So that's something I've seen over the last year, heard a lot more, that they don't want to give away the numbers. I get it from a business aspect, but if you're doing business right, you shouldn't have to fucking worry about that. So if you're not giving it away, and that's one thing you're always bringing up, maybe you're not doing business correctly. Maybe you should start tinkering with things to do it better. Because if that's something that bothers you that much, it shouldn't. That shouldn't be something you're always sort of worried about.
So help me, somebody elaborate on what Bobby mentioned earlier, because I obviously haven't watched any BG interviews.
I think it was his interview with sports cars as a lifestyle. The hobby veteran. I've gotten about close to maybe halfway through that, and then once again, it's just a tough one to get. I like Brian for his hobby enthusiasm, because he has enthusiasm for the hobby, but he has deep pockets for the hobby too, supposedly, allegedly. But he's a businessman too. That's where he'll start the explanation, like, well, people don't like this because it just has like the jersey of like Gretzky, and then they had to take some of that stuff out because you can't have Gretzky on there because he's an Upper Deck exclusive. You have the jersey only. You don't have like a helmet or even a mask. It's just like the back of the jersey with the on it. To explain it away, like, oh, people will buy it if it's nice, if it's this, it's that. Yes and no. Not everybody's going to go bonkers for that. Carlos has shown from his Madonna collection, and it frustrates him to no end because he's got the 101. There's like two, or no, I don't know if he's got the 101. He's got two of the two, both of the 202.
Yeah, he's got the 102 and the 202.
Yeah, there's like a 3, there's a 5, there's like a 7. It's nice to have something like that, and I'd be the same way if like Josh Johnson was in something of that ilk. But that's where Brian won't listen to people. It's like, well, I gotta make this, so I gotta make that, even if it doesn't have the jersey on there. And you hate to see some of those cards that are just sick patches. I know he's got that Vesna stuff out. I think either you or somebody, maybe Michael, showed me that Brodeur. A couple people showed me that Brodeur, like buckle card. I'm like,
yeah, I saw that. It was in a preview or something.
You have that in, like, let's say, Panini Dominion or Prime or National Treasures. You have that type of card in there. You multiply whatever that end price is by at least 3 for the big guys, probably 8 to 12 for like the mid tier, and probably 15 for the low end, because you have a logo on there. You could still sell the stuff without the logo. You're not going to maximize your profit. You're not going to maximize your potential when you don't have these logos. Yeah, you could sell the stuff, but it would be a hell of a lot nicer if you were able to do that.
So, Brad, I read what you notated. I find that interesting because if that were the case, because Panini has the MLB Players Association license. So they can produce baseball cards, but there are no logos. None, zip, zero, zilch. So all that means is they can put the player's name in their likeness because they have the authority to do that because of the license. If you don't have the license of the league in which they play in, there are no logos, which means you can't even have it on the jersey. So it's interesting that would be his interpretation because all of Leaf's stuff is unlicensed. But obviously he has a license with the Players Association for the NHL to use their name or their likeness in certain situations. But with hockey, if I'm not mistaken, some players have subsequent licenses to where you can't even use their likeness in a product, which would be why you would have like a jersey of the back of somebody stating who it is. So you can't even like display a picture of said player. So hockey may be a little bit different, would be my guess, potentially, which is why Leaf is able to do some of the things that they do. But from a baseball or an NFL perspective, you can't use the name, you can't use anything. What's the purpose of making a card? But I'm curious to know if that's legitimate, though, Bobby. That's the thing. Because if that were the case, I think Panini would have figured out something a long time ago with baseball. And I could be wrong. It's just one of those in which if there is, in fact, that type of loophole, quote unquote, then I would think that Panini would have done something or revamped their stuff, or Upper Deck would have stepped back in with Exquisite or something along those lines. So is it a misunderstanding of the license agreement? Is it a loophole? At this point, who knows? I can't speak any truth from that perspective, but it's interesting that that's what he's conveying from the understanding perspective. But yet the other card manufacturers haven't taken advantage of that either. And Vintage Oddball, that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier. It's one of those in which if Fanatics takes an opportunity and listens to the entire hobby economy of what's working, what's not, and gets opinions and insights and suggestions from all aspects, there's a lot of opportunities there for them to make a world of difference, make changes, make improvements. Who knows? Well, it'll be interesting to see how that goes, Bobby, if that's the case. But like I said, I'm not of the legal profession, nor do I claim to be, and I'm not going to take the time and actually read through what that quote unquote license agreement would look like or entail. But it'd be interesting to see what happens.
And Brad had to mention Pandora's box. Just had to do it. And where's Dave to take advantage of it? Well, he's apparently there because...
Yeah, he's highlighting comments. He's not on mute, so he could talk. He's just not on video. He's probably stuffing his face.
But I'll tell you one thing is this is probably my lowest numbered card. So that's a Leaf what is this? 2016 Leaf Clear Red. Now, if you look at that, you see the 66 on the shoulder. You see the Lemieux on the back. You see the Jaffa on the helmet. You see the stuff on the stick. I mean, for this being a non-licensed card, that's a pretty good picture.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty happy with it. The big glaring thing is he's skating down the ice. I'm missing patches on the shoulders. And if I really look at it hard, you're missing the patch on the front. Now, there's another Leaf card. His jersey's basically white. So you're like, yeah. But this one here, I think I own a good bit of the population of this card because I like it that much.
What's that number?
2016 Leaf. It was there's multiple sports. There's baseball, football, basketball, and Emmett's in here, Smith. There's a couple guys, but only one I don't have is the 1-of-1. I have the 5, I have the 10, I have the 25, and then there was the base. I probably have 8 or 9 of those that I bought in lots for a couple bucks a piece. And like I said, it's probably my lowest numbered card. Hi, Ghost. But
not your lowest numbered.
No, it isn't my lowest numbered anymore. Aha. Yeah, I have another Leaf card that's lower numbered.
By one.
By one, yes. I almost forgot about that. It's sitting here. I want to put it in a new holder.
That it needs it. I know.
And what was the skate auto numbered out of there, Penny?
25.
I think that was 25.
Mm-hmm. And that card you just had was numbered to what?
5.
Oh, I thought you said to 66. That's why I was like,
no. Hi, Ghost.
But on the flip side, if I think through some of the whole licensing thing aspect, it is possible for a company to have individual licenses with certain people, though, too. So there's ways around that aspect in order to use a person's name, which is always a possibility of ways to get around things. But Bobby, as you had mentioned, the whole logo aspect, those are owned by the league. And the only way you can use that is if you have a license with the league to use that likeness. Which, of course, is why Panini has no logos. But they obviously, which is interesting if you think about it. So Major League Baseball allowed what I would assume would be 2 separate manufacturers to have the Players Association to have 2 separate licenses, but the league only to have 1. Yeah, unless Panini has leveraged that loophole, though, too, and been able to produce baseball cards without an agreement in place with the Players Association. I don't know.
I don't know how many Panini baseball I have. I have to look at like the back of it to see if it's got that MLBPA logo on there.
I would think it would.
Compare it to Topps back and see what the heck the difference is besides like MLB doing a logo on there. And
so what do I got to check?
You don't have to check anything.
Oh, I thought you said check the back of the card.
No, he said he was going to have to check something.
Yeah, check Panini and Topps baseball cards. Do like a side by side and see who's like what licensing's different on the Panini compared to the Tops.
I have a Tops card here, but it's too damn small for me to even read.
I just have to finish it, Bobby. I think like I said, I got just under halfway through it.
I mean, Tops has the Major League logo on the back.
Yeah, because I think that I know what that MLB Players Association logo looks like. So I got to imagine that's going to be the one there, because I don't think they have the. It isn't even just logos. It's not. You don't see Detroit Tigers. You don't see New York Yankees. You don't see Minnesota Twins. It just says Minnesota, or it says New York NL, New York AL, and it doesn't even have. I don't think, even in the writing on the back, it doesn't have like. He led the Tigers in batting last year, or what? It's just Detroit. It's all about whatever the team city is, or the state. I think they have to do something with that too, where, again, above our pay grade. If we really got bored one time, we could probably do an episode on that, but that might be the reverse episode, where that's like a 10-minute talk and then ramble on the rest of the time. Yeah. Because even on some of that early NT, because I have a handful of that stuff, it won't even say like NL New York. It'll just say New York. So I'm like, I got to look on Google or something to, who the hell does this guy play for? Because I don't know. This is like the 1903s. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't born then. But yeah, Bobby, that's one I've got in the queue that I want to finish up. And like I said, I like listening to Brian. I like his enthusiasm. I know my buddy down in St. Louis, the one I went to the game with like 5 years ago. He and him do not get along at all. They are back on the old Freedom Cardboard page. He would go after Brian when a new product came out and just tear into him. Brian would come back, and yeah, but again, I enjoy Brian and his enthusiasm. Like I've said, it's and who can fault and find hatred with anybody that sips sun tea out of a mason jar? That you get at least one view from me, so that's definitely one I gotta watch. At least they'll be talking about cards, and maybe I'll know something about. So Vinny, when are you gonna put more pictures up? I won't say it's been a drought, but
yeah, I haven't been on Instagram since July, since my wedding anniversary, I think. It's been a hot minute. As you can tell, I deal with these guys a lot. But yeah, I've been saying that to myself. I have a bunch I want to put on there, so I will. I'll get on that.
The dogs agree that you've been slacking.
Yes.
Well, Dave, we're coming up 2 hours, 45 minutes. I think, of course, Ed pops in with the doggo comments. Okay, icons, emojis.
the Doge icon.
Oh, and look who we have. Of course, she probably doesn't realize she's on mute.
Hello.
Oh, She just unmuted.
I think we did well with the topic. I know we all have our questions about the nostalgia part of the hobby for kids, young adults these days, just because it's not the same hobby that we grew up in, that either kept us in the hobby or sucked us back in. Again, I have my doubts. I'd say you go 10, 15 years, 20 years down the line for the young tots. I don't know. I'd say maybe 30 to 50% come back, and 50 being the real high end. Just because I don't know what nostalgia there is, what draw there would be back into the hobby. Especially like some of these folks that are now, maybe they flame out. Who knows? You've got such a huge crop of young, early on in their career players. Who knows how many of them will be useless? And you've seen it this year. Like we mentioned before, Ohtani, he's had injury history. Tatis in that shoulder. Vladdy in the buffet table. I mean, he's having a great year. If Ohtani wasn't having his year, Vlad Jr. would be MVP. But there's so many variables now. And I don't know. Football, it seems like all those guys get hurt constantly. Josh Allen has a great year last year. What will he do this year? Baker Mayfield, a lot of guys are high on him. What's going to happen with him? I know about the buffet table. I know how it can curtail a promising career.
It's destroyed mine.
Yeah. Still. Still.
Are those the peanut butter ones, Dave?
Yes.
Are you?
Those are tasty.
Are you getting a?
Those are quite delicious. And then I think things within reach. Everybody loves Ripple.
Go. Seriously.
I've got some dip for
Go
those.
eat.
But that's your electrocuted.
Dave's got all sorts of crap.
And this is just within the arm's reach. So I know that buffet table all too well, so that's why I say it, Ed. But it's a wait and see. You hope that at least one or two of the guys will be useful for the hobby, but if you hold your breath thinking that, you will probably end up dead. Because it's Team Schmedium. It's like that side fanny pack clutch. With constant edits with vlogs and making moves and trying to get sponsorship so we can send this person off to a card show because they don't want to actually have a real job. If you keep promoting that with all these guys, guess what's going to happen? You're going to have that trickle-down effect where more people are going to want to be like that. And then the hobby will be infiltrated by dolts and idiots. Even more so. Then you're going to have people wanting to sign up for Discords at the card shows. Like, nah, no, I'm good.
I forgot about that fashion statement, Dave. There were several individuals with the fanny pack as a sling almost like a bandolero Chewbacca style on Saturday.
Chewbacca.
Yeah, you missed it since you didn't want to go on the show with me.
No, I have.
Break my heart.
Dad, my head hurt. Dad,
So a new fashion statement for the fanny pack flex then.
It's just like bandolero.
Yeah,
I'm
what's
okay.
his name does that? I'm from New Jersey, Detroit. It looks like Ray Charles dressed him in like sleepwear. It literally if I ever became that uneducated in any way, shape, or form, fashion wise, I literally hope somebody just chopped my head off with an axe. I mean, that's enough. I mean, you wear Huggies or you wear Depends, like 3 pairs of them under your 8th grade home ec project of making shorts. I don't know. I'm at a loss for words. I still haven't watched that one episode, Vinny. I can't bring myself to doing it. I can't. He's the one. He's like the baseball collector of like that realm. There's no use.
What was it? 92. Let me do the math in my head. So I got a shirt in 8th grade, and I wore that thing for 23 years because my mother said I should have thrown it away like when I went to high school. And I kept it for one sole reason, because every time I could go around her and wear it, it would just leave her flummoxed. And she throw that away. And I mean, it got raggedy. But when I looked in the mirror one time and I was repping Schmedium, I said, oh, no more. Garbage. I will not look like I just stuffed 3 Italian sausages into a thing. It ain't happening. I will not do it. So it went away. Yeah.
Oh, the things that come out during this show.
I could go for a good chicken sandwich.
Oh my god. Yeah,
Better half.
unfortunately, in
Hush.
this day and age, nothing's open because of unemployment.
Yes.
I got. Hold on.
Where did he disappear to?
He's gonna bring something. Something's coming of interest.
It'll be interesting to see what Dave pulls out. You never know what to expect with Dave.
Why did your daughter pull out milk and then go to bed?
Because she has a bowl of cereal in her bed. She's not allowed to. But
And
I digress.
of course you do. Because you have a problem with telling
Ooh.
children no.
I've got some wings on the side, but
Oh, they're good. We have those too.
Is that Buffalo Wild Wings?
The Parmesan garlic is the best, Dave.
Asian thing. There's Nashville hot, and I had Thai curry. But it's a Nashville hot chicken sandwich.
Filet sauces.
I've got to do a video on that, friend.
That is Buffalo Wild Wings, isn't it?
How much?
Hello, Carlos.
Glad to see you, Carlos, as we're wrapping up.
Well, I think tomorrow morning that'll be the video I
You
use.
guys were talking baseball. He's trying to mute me.
We were talking baseball cards. Now we're talking chicken sandwiches. It can't be an episode without the two.
It can. It's just normally it doesn't go that way.
What do you want?
Somehow, shape, form, or fashion, we always end up on food.
So try a mute.
Oh, well, we ate there Saturday or Sunday, and Trista kept saying, "Well, ask for your birthday ice cream." I'm like, I don't need it. I don't need ice cream on top of 20 boneless wings, and then my chicken sandwich I'm taking home. I don't need. You can tell I can't get into the booth as it is.
Right.
Adding ice cream on top. I mean, it was good the first like 3 bites. It was almost like brain freeze for your stomach. My stomach hurt so bad because all that spice from that chicken. I'm like, this was one of the worst ideas of all time. As that stuff came down, I'm like, ooh. Like, luckily it was up here that I was feeling it, not back and down a little bit, because I'm like, I don't want to have to like slowly walk and like pretend I'm holding like an egg between my butt cheeks, like squeezing it so it doesn't fall to the bathroom, because we were quite a distance away. So I'm like, oh, this is gonna be bad.
What are you shaking your head at?
Because even she said, she's like, you got a shit, or I'm like, no, I don't. If I take another bite of ice cream right now, I don't know, my stomach might just explode. So.
Yeah, yeah. Carlos's nomenclature.
Spot on.
I finally got to say it. Finally, after 2 hours and 56 minutes.
So yeah, that was. I don't know where to eat. That was the thing. I was like, we're down here. Where do we eat? I don't know, nothing, because we had the breakfast on that boat, or like a brunch. They offered up like another one. Like, you can go back for seconds. I'm like, ugh. I want to go and just eat that sausage and those potatoes out of the trough. But like at the same time, I know if I do that, I won't be able to get off the boat. I'll sink if I fall in the water. And whatever lunch, I mean, we're going to Sam's Club next. If I have to walk off like for 45 minutes, I'm going to have to take a dump in there like 3 times. And the first one was bad enough. So I knew the second 2 they weren't going to be good. It's like, let's wait. Let's wait for more food. So yeah, the Buffalo Wild Wings, we hadn't been there since maybe like the Christmas of 2019, I think. So well overdue. Rick, go. Asian Zing. I like the Nashville hot. The Thai curry were okay. It tasted more like an Indian curry. But Asian Zing, the classic. I know they sell that sauce at like Walmart. So that might be another one. I saw the Chick-fil-A stuff there too. And we gotta get out of here. I'm just gonna sit down in the aisle and eat sauce.
Did you ever have the soft pretzels from Sam's Club?
The
hot pretzel.
I don't think so. I think we've had. My brother had pimped up like the pizza from Costco. He's like, it doesn't taste great, but if you're here for whatever reason, if it's hot and fresh, for whatever reason, it's good. I tried it. I'm like, this stuff is dog shit. What are you talking about? He's like, it wasn't fresh. I'm like, well, it's not my problem. I'm not behind the counter on this one, so I can't do anything about it.
I'm telling you, the soft pretzel from Sam's Club next time you're there, and it's not like a super pretzel. It's like the Aunt Annie's pretzel with the butter and the thing. Oh, Madon. Melts in your mouth like Holy Communion. They're good. Every time they had the whole time it's been closed during these trying times, as we call them. But they finally opened up and they have little kiosks and you can go. I'm like, I want 4 pretzels. Cease wants a slushie, and I need a Coke for me and a wife. Bada bing, $6. And those pretzels are friggin' good. They're good. Now, what they need to do is put them in the frozen food section there so you can buy them and take them home and make them, because they'd make a mint because they're friggin' good. Okay, I'm done.
I'm trying to think what pretzels they've got. I know in the frozen section. I can picture the box because Carlos's favorite baseball player was their spokesperson.
Oh yeah, that's super pretzel.
Yeah. So, yeah, any of that food is just, it's absolutely the worst for you, but it tastes so good. And then, yeah, not in about a month and a week and a half or 2 weeks, I'll be able to have Popeyes and Chick-fil-A again. I'll do another video and lead you all down the path of getting both.
There's one Chick-fil-A here within say 30-mile radius. The line 50, 60 cars deep sometimes. Popeyes, there's like 6 of them in the 30-mile radius. And the lines are always long, but they're not like Chick-fil-A. If you want to make some money, invest in a Chick-fil-A in Michigan. You'll do all right.
They have rules and regulations, though, to allow them to open, too. There has to be so many rooftops in an area before they will even allow one to open.
Yep.
And they help find the spot.
Well, they're at a killer location, I'll tell you, because that corridor, as I call it, that has Chick-fil-A, Portillo's just opened up.
Oh.
So that's down the way. There's McDonald's, Burger King, Arby's, Wendy's, 6 or 7 different pizza joints. And then there's a bunch of restaurants. So like your Texas Roadhouse, Longhorn Steakhouse, all those. The Italian place that does I can't think of it, Carrabba's. And the other one, Olive Garden. Yeah. So they have the traffic through there. And like I said, 60 cars deep isn't something that's uncommon.
Yeah, we have one that's right up the road from us, and it's not that many cars deep, but it stays pretty packed. But it took, I don't know what the minimum is. I have a coworker that was looking into opening a Chick-fil-A franchise, so we did a lot of the research and had conversations with them, and they really know how to place their restaurants, and there's certain requirements that have to be met. so many rooftops in an area. If you're an owner of the franchise, you have to work in the restaurant for at least the first year. I mean, they do it right, I think, but it's one of those. I want to say it took over 15 years, give or take, before they put one in near us. So it's got to be a pretty substantial number of rooftops within a certain mile radius for them to do it. So it's not a bad business model if you think about it. If they're going to help making sure that a franchisee is going to be profitable, because it benefits both people. It benefits Chick-fil-A and it also benefits the franchisee. So. But on that note, since y'all made everybody hungry, I said y'all, wasn't me.
Yins did it again.
Never fails.
So, more good discussion tonight. Enjoyed it a lot. Thank you to Vinny popping on here. Should say, you guys got anything to say before we ludicrous and roll out?
I think we beat it to death tonight.
Oh yeah, we do.
And we'll do it again next week.
Which may be different next week. It might be Steve here, me over there. I might do a pull a Steve and do the 1 hour and then dip out, just depending what everything is, how that weather's transpiring and the fires that there's Trista was messaging through messengers on the show or during the show and saying the Manitou State Park, which is 15 miles away from us, getting evacuated. And then there was another, she didn't know if it was the same because just the people and dumb people on all these Facebook groups saying, oh, is there a fire like north of Two Harbors? And then there was another one over by that Tofty, Lutsen area. So Tofty's like 4 or 5 miles away from the campground. Lutzen's about 8 to 10. So thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Rick. So we'll see what it's like next Tuesday. I don't. I'll try to think of a topic, and that'll be about the extent of it for right now. And
we'll figure it out, Dave. One more or the other.
So thank you again, Vinny, stopping in. The cameo by C and the audio from the better half.
The tribute of Dryden, Ghost, and Galaxy.
Yeah, of course. They, without their whining and howlings and talking, that it wouldn't be an IRP. Thanks for everybody in the comments. Always good. Again, even if you're talking amongst yourself, we're here to try to bridge the gap. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Add monies to our crypto wallet, Venmo, OnlyFans, PayPal, Cash App, EMT, Western Union, money order, well-concealed cash, personal check.
Money order.
Yeah, money order. Discord. Don't know if I said Venmo. I could have said it.
I lost track. I usually try to keep track.
I try to keep track, then I start talking, and then it's gone.
At least you got crypto wallet early on.
That was the one I knew I was going to get right away after I've been called out on that, so I'm cognizant of that.
I've never called you out, Dave. I don't know what you're talking about.
Have to adjust my glasses here. Can donate whatever you want. Gold doubloons even. We'll take that. So until next week, Vinny, Steve, I'm Dave. Remember, collecting cards, building that collection, wonderful. The friendships forged in this hobby, that's what it's all about. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.